Arnold Schwarzenegger, the name that defines power, the symbol of relentless ambition, the legend who turned impossibility into reality. But what if the story behind the muscles, the fame and the political rise hides a journey so intense, so painful, it reshapes everything you thought you knew? What if the path to becoming one of the most recognizable figures in the world was built on pressure, sacrifice, and moments that nearly broke him long before the spotlight ever found him? Because this is not just a story of success. This is a story of survival, of discipline forged in hardship, and of a life that demanded everything before it gave anything back. Born in Thal, Austria, in the aftermath of World War II, he entered a world defined by scarcity. His father, a strict police officer, imposed discipline that often crossed into severity, while his mother provided care but could not shield him from the rigid environment that shaped his early years. Expectations were high, affection was limited, and approval was something that had to be earned, not given. And growing up in such a household left a mark, one that would fuel his relentless drive, but also create a constant need to prove himself, to push beyond limits, to escape a life that felt too small for his ambitions. Even as a child, he dreamed of something bigger, something beyond the narrow streets of his hometown, something that would take him to a world he had only imagined, and that dream became his escape. Bodybuilding became his path, a way to transform not just his body, but his identity. And with it came an obsession, a level of dedication that set him apart from everyone around him. He trained relentlessly, ignoring pain, ignoring doubt, focusing only on the vision he had created for himself. And that vision led him to titles, victories, and recognition, becoming a champion in competitions like Mr. Olympia. But even as he reached the pinnacle of bodybuilding success, the journey was far from easy, because behind the trophies were years of isolation, of pushing his body to extremes, of sacrificing normal experiences for a singular goal. And perhaps one of the most defining moments came when he made the decision to leave Austria behind to chase his dreams in the United States, a move that carried uncertainty, risk, and the possibility of failure. He arrived with little more than determination, facing language barriers, cultural differences, and the harsh reality of starting from nothing once again. But if there is one thing that defines his story, it is persistence, because he refused to accept limitations. He entered the world of acting at a time when his accent, his physique, and his background were seen as obstacles. Casting directors doubted him, critics dismissed him, and the industry was not built for someone like him. Yet, instead of adapting to fit expectations, he forced the industry to adapt to him, slowly carving out a space that had never existed before, with roles that would eventually define an era. Films like The Terminator transformed him into a global icon. His portrayal of an unstoppable machine became legendary, his presence undeniable. And suddenly, the man who was once told he would never succeed in Hollywood became one of its biggest stars. But success did not come without its own challenges, because fame brings scrutiny, and scrutiny brings pressure. Every decision, every action, every moment becomes subject to public judgment. And as his career expanded into politics, becoming the governor of California, he entered an entirely different arena, one where the stakes were even higher, the expectations even greater, and the consequences far more significant. And while his achievements in politics added another dimension to his legacy, they also exposed him to criticism, controversy, and moments that tested his resilience in ways that went beyond physical strength. And perhaps the most heartbreaking chapter of his life unfolded in his personal relationships, where revelations about his private life became public, leading to the breakdown of his marriage to Maria Shriver, a relationship that had spanned decades and built a family. The exposure of secrets, the weight of public scrutiny, and the emotional impact of those events created a moment that shook his personal world, revealing that even the strongest individuals are not immune to mistakes or consequences. And that is where the story takes on a deeper emotional weight, because it highlights the complexity of a life lived in the public eye, where achievements are celebrated, but failures are magnified, where success is visible, but struggles are often hidden beneath the surface. And as he reached the age of 78, the reflection on his journey carries a different tone, one that acknowledges not just the victories, but the costs, the sacrifices, the relationships impacted, the pressure endured, and the realization that greatness often comes with a price that cannot always be measured in achievements or accolades, because behind the image of strength lies a human being who has faced loss, who has made mistakes, who has navigated challenges that go far beyond what the world sees. And that is what makes his story so compelling and so deeply human. Not because it is perfect, but because it is real, because it reveals that even those who seem unstoppable have moments of vulnerability, moments where the weight of everything becomes impossible to ignore. And yet through it all, he has continued to move forward, to rebuild, to redefine what his legacy means, not just in terms of success, but in terms of growth, of learning, of understanding that the journey is not defined by perfection, but by perseverance. And at 78, that perspective becomes even more powerful, because it shifts the narrative from one of ambition alone to one of reflection, to one of understanding the full scope of a life that has spanned continents, industries, and experiences. And that is where the heartbreak truly lies, not in a single moment, but in the accumulation of everything he has endured, the strict upbringing, the relentless pursuit of success, the public controversies, the personal losses, and the constant pressure to live up to an image that leaves little room for imperfection. And yet, despite all of it, he remains a symbol of what is possible. A reminder that even when life presents challenges that seem insurmountable, it is still possible to rise, to adapt, to continue forward. And that is what makes his story resonate on such a profound level, because it is not just about what he has achieved, it is about what he has overcome, about the reality that behind every powerful figure is a journey filled with moments of doubt, of struggle, of decisions that shape not only a career, but a life. And as he continues to evolve, to share his experiences, to inspire new generations, there is a sense that his story is far from over, that the lessons continue, that the impact continues to grow. And that is what gives his journey its lasting significance, not just the milestones, but the meaning behind them, the understanding that success is not a destination, but a process. One that requires strength, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And in that truth lies both the inspiration and the heartbreak of a life lived at the highest level.